whatever. Like, what do you think of this?
Okay, so I guess we're going to call the meeting to order. We're going to start with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go to roll call. Jody Arp,
Here.
Ernie Byer. Not here. Is he excused or?
I've not heard anything from him.
Okay. Laura Ensley,
Yes, here.
Pamela Conley,
There's an ongoing issue. Obviously, she's employed at this time, so we're trying to resolve it. But
Sally Howland,
Yeah.
Rose Ellen Powell,
I'm here.
Mr. Ringler is not present.
why he's not going to be here?
He's in Battle Creek and he forgot.
Oops.
He said, "Oh, shoot, I'm in Battle Creek. I totally slipped my mind." Okay, another text coming back. Apparently, I never made it on my calendar. I better have that checked in the future. Okay, Todd Breezinga, I'm here. Tom Wilkes. Here. All right.
Would you like to present a motion to excuse any named individuals?
Well, we have enough people here, so
That's not the point. We do keep tabs of who shows up and who notified us ahead of time. So at this time, technically, Mr. Byer and Mr. Ringler did not indicate that they would be missing the meeting. But it's up to the board's call, whether you feel that the reasoning is sufficient or not.
should we make a motion? I mean, we did hear from Dave that he forgot. We try to get a hold of Mr. Byer and see if he's still gonna make it. Anybody have his phone number or
I
text?
don't have it.
I do.
Yeah, let's quick shoot him a
I
text.
will. All right. Can we come back to that? If I shoot him a 10?
That's the board's wish.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to that at the end. So public comment, those citizens wishing to speak on the agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the meeting that citizens are allowed to address Downtown Development Authority. Please state your name and address for the record if you'd like.
For the record, I'd state that there's a member of the public physically present, and we don't appear to have anybody waiting to speak with us electronically. However, board members are considered members of the public if you would like to mention anything at this time.
One thing that I would like to add for new business, I think we discussed a little bit of it last week, but I'd like to go into a little more detail on what we can do with the wall.
Can we do that after we approve the agenda?
Yeah, we can do
While we
that.
approve the agenda.
Yep. So conflicts of interest and ex parte communication inquiry.
I guess nobody has anything to declare.
No conflicts of, okay. Approval of the agenda, motion to,
A motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Reason, did you have something you wanted to add?
yes, I would like to add new business discussion on the fence repair between 70 North Main and the property to the south. We had a fence that blew over and we're talking about doing a mural there.
Would you modify your motion?
I motion to attach that in there. However, we need that to happen.
Ms. Holland, would you second that?
I will second that.
Okay. So then consent agenda, a motion to approve the minutes of the informational meeting January 31, 2022, and the regular meeting of January 31, 2022.
Mr. Reason, did we take a vote on the previous adoption of the agenda?
We did not.
I want to ask if all are in favor.
Are all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All not in favor? Okay, carries.
Agenda is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your help, because I never pay attention to how this works.
Andrew is always appreciated. Everybody knows.
Okay.
So if the consent agenda does not require any spending of funding, you can do it by a voice call. All those in favor?
Okay, So you just say all those in
So
favor.
you would look for a motion to approve of the consent agenda.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes for the informational meeting and regular meeting, January 31, 22. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
Here's just point of order. The consent agenda is for all the items in the consent agenda. So you can literally just go for a motion to approve of the consent agenda.
Okay,
It just saves time.
and do we then motion to accept financial and file financial report? I'll say aye.
I,
Okay, and as,
I'll second.
Also, we need a motion first.
Jody's gonna
I'll
motion.
okay, so we're all back.
Sounds like
We're
Mr.
good.
Motioned and Ms. Howland seconded it, and it sounded like Mr. Friesen called the vote and it was affirmative.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I heard.
Okay, so then go straight to unfinished business.
Sure.
So 71 North Main Street mural modification proposal.
So as you guys will recall,
Didn't get one. You
approached
got one?
by the building owner of that property, it was indicated that they would like to modify the mural that is currently there. The mural is owned by the DDA board per the contract, but it also gives the board the authority to approve of modifications if the board would choose. I believe that the muralist has offered to change that mural at zero cost to the DDA board. So at this point, I think what's appropriate is that the DDA board review the proposed alterations, and then they would have to hold a vote to allow that modification. And of course, this has not made it into the agenda, so I've not seen any proposed modifications.
You haven't even seen it yet? So it could probably, we could have a discussion today and then vote on it next month?
Yeah, we can't paint
Okay.
for a while anyhow.
Sure, sure. I would think that'd be the way we should do it.
So I guess the board members, have you seen this proposed modification?
Yes. Is it the same wings we were talking about?
Is it today?
Yeah, it should be in our agenda next month, so people
I get
see
a
it.
copy of it.
I sent you one, like, I don't know, 10 minutes before. that.
Don't you check your email?
Yeah.
Then I'm not in a meeting about budget.
Could you check your email closer to for me, please? You love me. You know it.
So will we have a discussion on that?
So
Today?
the board can discuss it all they want today. They just
Okay.
need to be able
I
to-
like it. I think it looks good.
I think it looks really sharp.
I do too.
11:34.
I mean,
Sorry.
so within 20 minutes, you should
Were you
be.
sitting in that
thrilled.
chair when you said it?
I said it before I left.
I don't disagree.
It's just neat.
I think it looks fine.
I like the
We need
simplicity of it. I think it works fine.
Yeah. I think
That's
it's,
one where
They have
people
to
can
have some
stand
very
in front.
short people if they want to have that as their wings. That's about 1.5 feet off the ground.
well, it'll be higher, so it's shoulder height,
Right.
about Laura's shoulder height, because I'm normal size. I'm
So-
joking.
I'm not.
Really, I don't know.
So I'll need to sit on a bucket.
Thanks for making fun of all the tall people.
Anybody else would like to see this real quick?
Seriously, it will
All
be
set.
higher up, yeah.
Will the same artist be doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait for a discussion.
Yeah, so the same artist will be doing it. She's agreed. If that's not approved, then she's going to finish the one that is there with the, it's supposed to have an owl reading a book. So it's supposed to mimic the heart of Cedar Springs over there. So some of the flowers that we pulled out of over there are on the side of the building, obviously. And then the duck, the
Duck and
the bridge that's in there. So some of the sculptures that are over in the heart of Cedar Springs are supposed to go on that mural. She's supposed to finish that up, but I propose that we change it altogether because I don't like it.
Ms. Ensley,
I agree.
When you say finish it up, was that on the approved
Yes.
plan for the mural?
Yes,
I don't recall that.
maybe I added it.
Okay.
Okay, could have possibly been added.
Even adding in an owl, while I like the idea, would still be considered a modification.
Well, let's modify it to that because I like that better.
I do too. Gets people out of their car.
Yes, right now people wonder what it is.
I believe that this probably needs to go onto your agenda for a motion and approval at your next meeting.
Mhm.
Can we do that, please?
Now that I have it in my possession, yes, that's not a problem.
So now here's.
What
a
does
little-
everybody think of it?
I
so
think it
far?
looks
like it.
great.
I like the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
I
think
love
it's
that it
very
says
clean.
Cedar
Yeah.
Springs.
Establishes
I
where you
like-
are, gives you a
yeah.
little bit of background on the city, and as Sally said, it gets people out of the dang cars.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if I was to add something on it, I would, well, it's probably for later discussion, but strictly for the Instagram people. The more I've learned about social media, the more I hate it, but
Okay.
strictly for the Instagram people, if there was an established hashtag painted on that, like hashtag Cedar
Oh,
Springs, hashtag
be
Cedar
cool.
Maine, something along that, that will draw that attention to that. The people who will stand in front of that, like, look at me in
Right.
front of the wings, will say, will write hashtag.
Red
The
Hawks.
only thing that we
Hashtag
will
Red
have to
Hawks.
say is, can we not park there if we get those wings so people can take pictures?
Well, again, that was one of my next things I was going
Yeah.
to say is because it's in my parking lot. And I don't have a problem with that. What I thought I maybe would do is create like little steps there to sit plants on. Then that way they could sit or stand depending on how tall they are
Okay.
in front of the wings.
Very nice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So something I would mention is having just one set of wings, I think limits your potential of having multiple people take pictures at the same time. I often see these as grouped as, butterfly wings, 2 or 3, different heights for different people. And then that parking lot, which is not a legally conforming parking lot. The city council is currently reviewing an ordinance that would allow non-conforming illegal uses of property to be curbed, so that you might not be able to access that parking lot in the future.
Which means it'll be very good.
Yeah, because right now, I mean,
It's a
I get
mess.
it. Yeah, you guys park really close because there's not a lot of parking there and I
Well,
understand.
it would increase, I think, another 2 new parking spaces on the street.
Correct.
But also, I've spoken with the property owner, and they've indicated, I've never heard this before, they've indicated that they plan to fix the parking lot in the near future. And barring that, they might remove the asphalt and replace it with grass lawns with a walking path from the public sidewalk up to the front doors. So. that's what
Cool.
I've heard. But in relation to the mural, I will put on your agenda for potential approval at your next meeting.
That would be really nice, actually. if that was grass.
I like the idea of the steps too, because
Well,
you
it's
got
because
little red
it's
hawks.
cheaper
and you
than
got big
putting
red hawks.
asphalt in. He's already gotten prices and he has no intention of doing that. Not only that, I don't know if anybody ever pulled up the tanks. That used to be a gas station and I often wonder if he starts maneuvering, if he wouldn't be told to.
Oh, shit, that was,
There?
I guess.
It certainly was.
There is.
Hey, Bernie.
Hi, Bernie. We're happy you
Blackburn, would
joined us.
indicate that Mr. Byers arrived at 12:16, please.
No, you're not. You're
Oh,
here.
you're here. You're just late, tardy.
You guys have the
Not my
coolest
fault.
Morocco down
We're
there
not-
right now.
It is not my
That
fault.
thing is so cool.
Sorry.
I had the case of the wants when I drove past.
So, Mr. Vriesigan, now that Mr. Byers arrived, would you entertain a motion to excuse Mr. Ringler and Ms. Conley for their absence?
Yes, let's entertain a motion to excuse Mr. Ringler and Ms. Conley.
Motion to excuse.
All in favor, all in favor, say aye.
So would you guys like to see like 3 wings, like a little kid set of wings and maybe a little set of wings for a dog? Oh, God.
Oh, bless your
Super
heart.
cute. That'd be so cute. I could put my feet up against it.
Ms.
be so-
Blackburn, did you accept that as an approved motion?
I mean, I can have her adjust it.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
that sounds.
Well, we
good.
have little red hawks and we have big red hawks. So we, the steps would be nice for,
So we could do a big set of wings for adults, a little set of wings for kids, and a tiny set of wings for dogs. All right, I'm game. That would be super cute.
Mhm.
Not that you guys, that shocks you. that
And
it's a dog.
hashtag red hawks, so people know that that relates to red hawks. We know it, but people traveling don't.
Sure.
He'll hand you. This is
Oh.
what they're proposing to change on the side of her building.
Thank you.
The reason that plan of action for coming back next month is accepted.
Yeah, so we'll need a motion to add it to next month's agenda.
We don't.
We don't? Okay, we just add it. All right.
On to the next item.
So next item is discussion on 2022 summer concert series. Dates, June 18th, 15th, 22nd, so on. And revamped social district plans and map.
So this is something I've been working with Mr. Ringler on. His staff helps me put together these summer concert series. But we did come up with the dates that we'd like to hold these. It looks like 11 weeks. We're not quite sure when school is going to start back up in the fall. So we anticipate it'll probably be around the 23rd or 24th, while we chose not to include that date. There's also a possibility of maybe putting in a to be determined date, just in case school goes in later than we anticipate, and or if we have a rain out event. We have a rain out concert last year, and when we rescheduled it, nobody knew about it. So it might be best in our advertising material to say, to be determined, just in case. And worst case scenario, we could put I guess a movie on at the amphitheater that day. If we don't have bands or something. So,
Except it's not dark.
well, so I looked at the date, the time that the sun goes down. It goes down about 8:30 that day. So, if the concerts are 7 to 9, I don't see why we couldn't put in an hour and a half long movie at 8:30 and.
That would be really cool. A lot of, I do that downtown, Grand Rapids all the time, and it's very well attended.
Yep. So the library does have an inflatable screen. And so we can work something out, I'm sure. But anyway, so those are the dates that Mr. Ringler's staff is working on for concerts in the park. I did put together a revamped social district plan and map. And I think I highlighted the proposed changes in yellow. Let me go through that real quick.
I also have an inflatable screen if you ever need to borrow it.
Yep. So the city manager and his wife donated the one that the library has. It's quite large. I think our bigger issue is speakers. And also ours, despite conversations with the CBDT about this, can only be lit from the front. So you'd have to obviously have a certain distance in front where the projector would go.
Mine can be lit from the rear, but then you kind of see the light through it, so it doesn't work as great.
Okay, so the major change that you're going to see here with the proposed social district plan is that we're extending the social district and commons area to encompass, 17 North Main Street, which is the empty lot currently north of the Chase Bank parking lot. The city owns that lot, and we're anticipating that we're going to turn it into a picnicking area of some sort. So basically extending the size of it. But also, you'll see at page 19 of your packet that I'm at least proposing that the social district be every day of the week, and that it start at noon and go through dusk of each day. And then on Wednesdays, it would be until I think 10 o'clock to encompass the concerts in the park. So this is a first draft. Didn't spend as much time as I would have liked on it, but those are the proposed changes for the social district. Are there any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns?
So your proposal is to have the social district every day of the week.
Correct.
I don't know if the community would support that in general, but
That's a decision for the council to make.
yeah.
Right now, I'm just proposing to the business owners that represent, the businesses in the town on this board, whether they think that would be a good idea.
Mhm.
See, hurting my business in any way.
Oh, I think it'd be.
Personally, I think it would be okay. I mean,
For the last 2 years, everything's been open carry every week,
Yeah.
cocktails anywhere.
yeah.
It
And
really doesn't
frankly,
affect
in
it
my
for us.
discussions with other communities and other community city managers, we've heard surprisingly little problems existing.
I was gonna,
And I think our experience here is very positive. So Obviously, I'm open to any thoughts, interpretations, or suggestions. This was just me in my office putting, pen on paper.
I feel like it happens anyhow, whether we have.
Right.
Whether
I
you
think
know
as
it or
long as
not.
you've got trash cans, I think
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
think-
be, it's not gonna be an issue. as long
So
as
one,
there's trash
yeah,
cans.
I guess my question is once this is approved, is this like during a certain season? Is there a start date, end date, or is it just?
So what we've done is we do a resolution from year to year. And then this specific resolution, I think it goes through September.
September 24th, according to what's written here.
And that's done deliberately, obviously, so that it doesn't interfere with the red flag.
Okay.
Now, if we had the
Read your-
outdoor winter type stuff that we'd love to have, where people could go to an ice skating rink or whatever, we'd probably extend it straight through the winter, but we just don't have an outdoor presence in the community at that time. Now, the state law, I think, goes for another 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So we should be able to do this on a yearly basis. And hopefully that gets extended, but
I
talk to
think
your
it's
state
great.
legislator.
Yeah,
I think it will help the businesses too.
absolutely.
And there are a couple other things that kind of go along with this. In addition to concerts in the park, we're also going to be proposing curb bump outs, which I think I've talked to most of you about. But you're essentially taking the curb and extending it inwards to the width of the parked car on either side of Main Street. Not only does it naturally slow traffic down because people don't like to drive fast through a narrow roadway, but you're taking a 45-foot wide crossing over Main Street, which you guys have walked across Main Street. It's not easy sometimes.
It's sketchy.
And you're reducing it down to about 27-ish feet, which is easier, much better for pedestrian visibility to vehicles. And so now we're promoting crossing over Main Street so that businesses on the east side have easier access to the west side where the concerts in the park are.
So while we're doing that, I'm just curious from the standpoint of in the summertime when I drive my little car that's close to the ground, it's almost impossible to turn left out of, like
yeah.
legitimately
Mhm.
sketchy.
What would be nice is to do what Grand Haven does and you just put a stop sign on every block. That
So-
really slows things down.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to be talking to probably the county and the state.
Yeah.
Regarding all these, because Main Street's considered a 131 bypass. So as much as I'd love to have every damn, street stop, I don't know if it would legitimately work. But we're also putting efforts into left-hand turns, because I would imagine that if you have these curb bump outs on all 4 corners, not only can you not pass on the right, which is illegal anyway, we don't really want people making left-hand turns crossing traffic. So maybe we'll just end up having to say no left-hand turns here anymore. But we're also not planning on doing it on every intersection. The current plan right now is to do the Main and Maple intersection first, see how that works out. And then if it works out, we would do more intersections as money allows.
I know Elm is, I mean, you legitimately pulling out there is like scary.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you can't
Because
see
you can't-
around the cars.
You can't
That's
see around
exactly it.
cars
And I
at
don't care
all.
what you're driving. I've done it many a times and I almost had my front of my car taken off because they're going so fast.
Yeah,
You don't see them.
My new Black Widow even has issues getting out in traffic quick.
Yep.
That Bernie sold
It's
me.
hard.
My new Tesla.
You can see good out of that too. See
Yeah.
You see the whole way to Main.
That's a
Street.
beautiful truck, by the way.
Thanks.
I'm glad you bought it because my husband was going to.
I'm gonna have them put the Roush supercharger on it. next.
Oh,
Anyway, so regarding
wings on it,
the
too.
social district, at least, the concerts in
Sorry.
the park, any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
Oh, I think it's great.
It looks great.
I like this new proposal.
I'm all for
Sounds
it.
good to me.
Yep.
I like the new proposal too, but having been at the concerts, a lot of people are bringing their own booze.
And so we could pay police officers to go around and speak with people about that, but now you're talking about adding on a whole new layer of cost.
Right?
But yeah, so like in Rockford, each place, like Jody would put a sticker on for her place and Dave would put a sticker on for his place. And if you don't have a sticker, it's an open container fine.
Uh-huh.
How come?
So when I take my cup of water in my container, which I don't have in front of me, but it's just a cup from my house, how is a police officer supposed to know the difference between that and vodka?
Smelling it.
Well, when you see somebody taking a bottle of wine and
Right.
filling their cup,
But see, now that's completely
Hard to
different than
police
what
you,
Mr.
you're right.
Womack just spoke about.
Listen, you're gonna have that everywhere.
We do.
I don't,
Yep.
it's just
That was
what
another-
happens.
Yes.
I think it's based on,
Ms. Powell, you're right.
it happens.
I think there's a way we're gonna
Trigonometry.
help alleviate that issue, but we kind of got to get into the agenda more. So,
Yeah, because I will tell you on Red Flannel Days, there is everybody drinking on Main Street.
Oh, God, yeah.
and smoking on Main Street. But anyways, we have a possibility for that, so let's keep going.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm excited about that. I think that'd be great for y'all. I wish you guys could set up a little booth and make mixed drinks up there.
Loved it.
That would be amazing.
Go talk to your state legislature.
Portable bar.
Sort of like-
Yeah.
You can, but that would be very illegal, thereby
Um,
causing the problem.
Mr. Raising, are you ready to move on to?
Ready to move on. Discussion on 17 North Main Pocket Park. Motion to approve of the Fleas and Vanderbrink proposal for a cost not to exceed $4,400. So this is the little part by the Chase Bank.
Correct. So this would be the picnicking area. I think this is Ms. Powell's doing. I think it was a great idea to approach Fleece and Vanderbrink. They're the ones who are doing the Heart of Cedar Springs project to put together a professional proposal so that we don't just have some kind of janky looking picnic tables out there. So $4,400 seems like a lot. It's about what we paid for the Heart of Cedar Springs proposal. But they're proposing to do the full-on public hearing and, you know, everyone gets to have their word and whatever else. And this board does have some money. This board has done, I would spin it as saying this board's been very good with their money and they haven't spent, you know, everything. In reality, it's, I'm only one person and there's only so much I can do, so some projects haven't gotten done. At least if you had a professional proposal put together, it would give you an idea of what we're gonna be focused on completing. And on top of that, these guys know every nook and cranny of the grant system. And so if they were to put together a proposal and it was to cost $50,000 to $100,000, they would know which grants you'd be eligible for, which grants they could write for, and maybe get some of that cost taken care of. So this board could approve of that full amount. We can get started today. Or the board could discuss potentially approaching the city council and asking for them to pay for part of that cost.
We have a motion to approve.
For clarification, just to
Aye.
make sure I'm reading this correctly,
You can't turn it down. It doesn't work.
4,400 is the cost of the proposal. It is not the actual park itself.
Right. So that's them showing up.
Yeah,
to the
that's fine.
meeting.
I wanted to make sure I knew what I was voting for before I voted for it.
You know, they'll draw.
Yeah, I
draw up
understand.
the plan.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I would definitely motion to approve that.
And
I just wanted to
probably,
clarify first.
they're probably gonna get like quotes on what, or estimates on what it's gonna take too.
Yep, so I, of course, I get these all the time, but what you'll get, similar to what the Heart of Cedar Springs plan looks like out there. And then you'll get a engineer's estimated costs. So you're gonna need this thing, it'll cost $5,000, this thing will cost $6,000, whatever. So you'll have the total project cost. But then, the soft side of it, like I'm saying, is these guys know where all the grant money comes from. So we've already discussed 2 potential grants that might be eligible for this. Now, we might be a little too late in the year this year to get that grant. So this might be a phased project where we buy, the picnic tables this year, put them out there, and then next year apply for the grant money, and then do the full shebang next year.
I said, with that clarification, I'm more than happy to motion to approve as is. That's all I wanted to
Are you
know.
looking for a second?
Yeah, do we have a second?
Second.
And this is gonna have to be probably a roll call vote since it's. So Jody Arp,
yes.
Bernie Byer,
Yes.
Laura Hensley.
Yep.
Sally Howland,
Yes.
Rose Ellen Powell,
Yes,
Todd Brisinga, yes, Tom Wilkes.
Yes.
I'll contact them ASAP and get that moving for you.
And new business, preliminary 2022-23 budget.
So Ms. Falcon would have liked to have had this finalized today, but, this is complicated stuff. So I'm at least presenting it to you. I think the most important aspect is you see we've had a couple of buildings get revamped over the last year. They are paying a higher property tax than the former businesses were paying. So your budget is now increased from what, 40,000 to 62,000? So significant increase and a heck of a lot better than we were doing in 2016.
Is that due to the new marijuana businesses?
New businesses that have revamped their buildings.
Not just those ones.
Mine
Tracked my statement.
went up as well. You're welcome.
So one of the
Yeah,
things.
mine went up too.
Mine went up too.
My building wasn't usable, now it is.
In both the DDA and city budgets was the hiring of a park attendant. Somebody whose primary task would be to attend the concerts in the park, make sure that the amphitheater was open, make sure that trash was picked up, and make sure that they could approach people who were smoking or drinking in the park and let them know what the rules and requirements are. You know, $15 an hour times 3 or 4 hours, you know, 50 or 60 bucks per concert throughout the summer. But now with this amount of money that is coming in, higher than I expected. And as I've indicated before, you know, I love the DDA. I think you guys do good work, and I wish I had more time to dedicate. To you. What I might propose as an alternative is that the city council has asked me to hire an assistant city manager or an assistant to the city manager. So what I might propose is instead of this board funding a parks attendant, that instead they help fund part of a assistant city manager. And then we would task that assistant city manager with being a DDA director. So that that person would have more time and energy to dedicate to this board and getting this board's desires done. Instead of me trying to decouple my time from the other boards I work with. So I haven't put together any numbers whatsoever, but I'm talking about a maybe $5,000 or $10,000 commitment from this board out of the new money you're getting. A person who would be a full-time employee of City Hall, but they would dedicate, you know, a certain number of hours in their month towards doing this board's bidding. I guess I'll present that as a discussion item related to your budget. But also, are there any things that you'd like to see be part of your budget in the new year? Apart from maybe reserving some money for eventually what's going to be the pocket park at 17 Main.
I would love to see the snow removed downtown, just for parking and for customers alone. You want more people downtown? When they cannot get out of their cars, they're not going to.
So this board is already paying for the snow removal as presented by O'Dowd. Do you think O'Dowd is doing a good job?
I think they're doing a fairly decent job.
Sidewalks are clear.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the big old piles of snow?
We're talking about the
not-
snow. She's talking
In
about the
general,
snow
on
up
Main
the,
Street, when you
against the
park,
curb.
you can't
The
get out of your
curbs.
car.
Yeah, the curb
And if
area.
you're, if you have any disability, there's no way you're getting out of your car.
It would be nice to do one cut at each parking spot.
It would,
Well,
wait, can I I gotta interrupt. I've been on this thing for years. Rose will tell you I've been on this for years. All right. And it goes way back to, what's his name? Before Amber. And the deal was, he got the snow was gone. You didn't pile it up. You didn't have an 18-inch on each side of the road. Pile of snow. People can't open their doors. They can't get out of their cars. They just don't park there. You talked about earlier about being able to walk across the street, making that car length. It adds to it again. You gotta get rid of that snow along the curbs. And there is a place to put it. Okay, it needs a backhoe, it needs the city. That's where we ought to spend our money. If we're gonna spend downtown development, let people get out of their cars.
Yeah.
That's important to me. It has
is,
been
if you're
forever.
gonna shop. Cause I watch people all the time. They just drive on by and they go, oh, I would have stopped, except that you
Well,
got no place to park.
Well, you have a
And
place
your
to
feet.
park, but getting out is sketch.
you're-
'cause I fell down a couple
Yeah,
times.
you're out in
Feet
you're
are
in
down,
traffic
yeah.
when you open
Yep.
your door in the middle of
That's the other
traffic.
thing. Yep. As if that's not enough to contend with.
Pain in my side for years.
Yep.
So
I
got
would
nothing
love
more
to
say.
see that removed, because when I go through other towns like Sealand, Holland,
Grand
they
Haven.
make sure there is no snow on Main Street.
What, how do they do that? They just bring it.
They have a
like
loader that goes down,
Yeah,
pushes it,
picks it up.
put it in the back of a dump truck and takes it away, dumps it.
So part of the problem is I don't even have enough staff in my DPW department to do what's required of us. which is part of the reason why this board approved of O'Dowd doing snow. removal
Outsider,
last
yeah.
year. You're also talking about a significantly higher increase in the amount of money paid for snow removal. 'Cause that's very time consuming. It's
Yep.
very
Yep.
Can't we just
equipment
put it in the
expensive.
street and then the plows can pull?
And
push it?
also, where's the plow put it?
That's, yeah. that's-
Is it possible to hire a private company?
It's gonna cost money, but then you wanna know where to spend our money, that's where we ought to spend
I
some
would
of
love
our
to see
money.
that.
So like
Take
in
it down there and
in the
dump it
lakeshore
behind us.
towns like Grand Haven and Holland, in certain area, Holland has heated sidewalks
Right.
now. But like in Grand Haven, what they always did in the past was they'd take it off of the sidewalks and they plow a pile in the middle. And when the middle pile gets too big, that's when they
Come in and
take
pick
the
it up.
loader, and they do that at night. So it makes it pretty easy because you can let that pile get 5 foot high, as long as you can see over it. Once it starts getting too wide, then they'll clear it, but they'll put like walking paths through it so you can cross if you have to, but it also kind of prevents jaywalking, so it forces people to go to the,
I'm just saying that my staff, I don't have sufficient staff to do what's being proposed. And, well, we can approach O'Dowd and ask them what it would cost. I think you're looking at a significant price increase.
I think that a weird sort of amalgamation here, just listening to what everyone's talking about, everyone's concerns. If we could propose to O'Dowd to do what they're doing now, but then once that's gone through, about, I don't know, maybe every 20 feet, 10 yards, whatever, they just take a hard left or hard right and push them out into the street. So there's an open space for people to pass through. Doesn't necessarily have to be in front of every business, but I'm always out there before he is every day. And it's very rare that he beats me out there because I open it 4 in the morning, so I'm in there, right? But I watch him just go straight down the road, perfectly fine. He makes a hard right, pushes it out into the street. We now have an open spot for people to pass through. Back up, move back down and do it again. I don't know how much more time that's gonna add or what that's gonna add to the cost. For all I know, that could triple our cost for that tiny thing.
How about we just call O'Dowd and ask him his opinion?
Yep, how to
That's
get
easy.
rid of the snow
That's
on
what he
Main Street.
does. He may
Well-
have a logical solution that none of us are thinking about.
Yeah, because right now I just have I have staff that goes out there and shovels a spot at every
It's not
parking
just
spot.
pushing the snow, it's also picking up the snow in the front end loader and putting it in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Well, a truck and the front end loader are huge costs.
The 2 employees that have to do it.
Yep.
I understand.
And right now, I think I've got 4 total employees.
The flower boxes, which are awesome, are also an issue with that too. 'Cause you just shove it all out of the way because there's big old flower boxes. The flower boxes are awesome. I'm not saying that those are the problem. I'm saying that they're the reason why we can't clear their sidewalks completely.
I wasn't here at the time, so you don't get to blame me.
Neither was I.
okay, so let's ask O'Dowd to see if they have any
Well,
ideas for solutions.
so we'll contact O'Dowd, and I'll also put some more money in that line item, but I don't know what it would cost.
Mhm.
But, apart from those things, is there anything else that this board wants to try to start working on throughout the next year?
I wouldn't mind seeing, like, you mentioned something about ice rink. We don't have an ice rink in town, do we?
We don't, and we also don't really have a place to put one.
What about down by the amphitheater?
So it's funny, you should ask that. Part of the application grant that we're gonna be putting together for let me just go grab that real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Is, we're hoping to eventually have some concrete area out there. And on top of the concrete, we can put a
We have fake ice
fake
rinks.
synthetic ice.
Mhm.
Because one of the biggest problems we have is that it just doesn't get cold anymore in Michigan.
But then you have to shovel it, right?
Well, so we'd have to shovel it, but
Mhm.
we wouldn't have to keep it refrigerated. So you can see it right here.
So my nephew put one in his backyard this year and it's phenomenal. And it's been solid ice and he's been able to maintain it.
Well, it's the same problem though. I only have so much staff and a real ice rink is very difficult to maintain.
Synthetic, I would be concerned with snow removal on top of it. And then if you scar it up, then it doesn't work anymore.
Apparently
You right?
How are you?
Oh my God, are you okay?
Gravity.
apparently the new systems, they don't scar very easily. And when you do, it's a modular system. So you can pull that piece up and move it to the outside where it doesn't get used. But it's basically self-healing.
So do you just clean it with like a rubber flapped, single stage snow blower? Or is that?
No idea. I have no idea. This is something that the engineers proposed. Now, it's not displayed on here, but the hope is that eventually where the bathroom is located,
This is super cool, Mike.
where the bathroom is located, which is here, they eventually will have a splash pad right there. And then the future synthetic ice will go on top of the splash pad.
So that,
Year-round use.
people love that.
So we're gonna get bathrooms over there.
Yep, and we're planning them to be.
I'm terrible.
Right.
So that you'll be able
My
to throw
kids love to do it.
That would be amazing.
So part of, again, your budget is this project is gonna be two-phased and probably cost the city about $600,000. That's assuming that we get the grant money that we're attempting to get. So we may ask you to put some of your money towards that in the future.
Nice job. I like that.
That's more of a 2023, 2024.
So the application for the grant is due April 1st.
Okay.
And then they'll review it and make a determination August sometime this year. And then we won't be actually getting the money until spring of 2023. And of course, there's two phases, so we don't know when we get a second phase.
Perfect sense to me.
I'd just like to discuss the possibility of naming the new downtown park, downtown DDA park, something that reflects the DDA, some way, shape, or form.
Ms. Powell, are you suggesting we have a budget item for naming the park?
I don't, well, we'd have to have a sign, but, just to get your thoughts about what we could possibly name it. I think it's gonna take a while to get it all agreed on, and it does have to go through council for approval, right?
I would believe that probably naming the park would need council approval, but you're right that this board, especially if this board's gonna pay for a significant portion of it. Yeah, I'm sure council would understand, that this board is kind of a sleuth board. Nobody knows what a DDA is, right?
Right.
So I think that's probably a good idea. Have something related to that new park that is DDA related, so people know what you're spending your money on.
Yeah, and that we're alive and well people just don't know.
Let's go to Rose Park. There'll be a lot of questions. What's that
Well, I was
name?
thinking Red
They
Flannel
won't tell.
Park, but I knew that wouldn't fly.
We'll name it Rose Park, and then we'll just have a bunch of chrysanthemums.
Call it Womack's Park.
No, thank you.
But DDA, I had a discussion with a gal and she seems to think that everything in Cedar Springs is paid for by the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going, no. And why we didn't have more trees with the beautiful lights on it. And I says, it's like $1,000 a light, so we can't do all the trees up and down Main Street. And try to explain the things that DDA does in that park, I think would be a good reflection to what we do and what we're for.
Just a plaque that says donated by the
Mhm.
DDA is way better than
Yep.
naming it the DDA.
What would we name it if?
Well, Ms.
don't.
Powell, I've been thinking about that for a little while. The
Good.
park that's immediately in front of City Hall here, the
Mhm.
Pocket Park, I don't think we've ever named it.
No, we haven't. I wanted to, but
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not sure we have to.
Right.
no. Thought it would be cute if it was called City Hall Park, but
We just have to wait for more council people to die off, and then we can name it after them after, long gone.
Pocket Park is so generic to every town and whatever that makes a pocket park. And I think Cedar Springs is a little bit too unique to have something called Pocket Park when there's thousands of pocket parks.
Well, maybe let's build the park first, and we can.
Yeah, I think it should be a discussion. DDA should be reflected in that park. It's downtown. And it's important that we get recognition for the things that we do.
Any other budget items other than Ensley Park?
Red Hawk Park.
So I will attempt to put together a more, kind of fleshed out budget for you guys for your next meeting, but you have to have that approved of by your April meeting at the absolute latest. Probably March meeting is better.
No big rush.
So then we're moving on to discussion on the food truck ordinance and applications.
Ms. Powell, this is an item that you specifically requested.
Yeah, we do have a mobile food truck ordinance, and I just want everybody to be aware of it. And we can't just slap a food truck wherever we want to. It has to be involved with an event, say like Red Flannel or the sidewalk sales. And there is the location not to be within 200 feet of a brick and mortar restaurant. And if that would have to be adjusted at some point, I don't know. I was thinking the other day, we have 7 restaurants in town. That would include the bakery. We don't want to pull food sales out of our restaurants, but food truck is a fun thing, and we have to respect our brick and mortar restaurants, and that's all I have to say about that.
Speaking as someone who owns a restaurant that is considering expanding into a food truck at some point in the future,
Mhm.
if I was to alter it, that would be the one thing I would say is that exceptions should be offered for people who already own a brick and mortar business inside the city.
Mhm.
Just as like, cause
Yeah.
if you wanted to start wanting to expand, or if Dave wanted to, I feel like that if we were to if we were to anything, I have no problem with that projection, but it'd be like, you know what? If I had one attached to my own business, I'd like to be able to keep it all in one location.
I think anything that promotes more activity in town, it overspills to everything, especially if it's just a temporary thing and it's not every single day.
So if I could
Because people
interject
come
for
for
him,
events.
for those of us who read the ordinance, it specifically says that if you were a brick and mortar business in town, you are permitted to operate a food truck on your property. Problem is, I don't know if you have any property in front of your business.
That was why I said that. Because if I wanted to move, if I wanted to have a mobile truck, it would make my setup a lot easier at the heart of the city concerts or whatnot.
Mhm.
Now, there's another part in the ordinance that specifically says that if an event has received community event status, that the organizers of the event are exempt from requiring permits for any food trucks that are brought in.
Should have read it more closely. I do know how to read, I swear.
So I know how to write too. So if the event organizers for the concerts in the park were to say, hey, we sure would like to have food trucks by, you know, the local businesses, that would be exempt and you would not require a permit.
How, does Greenville not have a food truck ordinance? Because Detroit, Coney Island sets up all over Greenville. I mean, and it is crazy. Within 3 hours of him opening, he's sold out almost every day. I follow him pretty.
One
You
thing,
follow him too?
one thing I'm frustrated by is, you know, we wrote this ordinance and passed it specifically because we had a food truck that was operating within the community. And, you know, the amount of money that we charge is nothing. It's like $75 or something. And immediately after notifying this food truck that they need to get a permit, he used some colorful language and then decided never to come back to Cedar Springs. So I don't know what Greenville's doing, but I'm frustrated by the fact that we put together an ordinance because we're a body of laws. That's what we do here. And for the cost of $75, this person decided they didn't want.
So do you had to pay $75 every time you park? So it'd be $75 a day?
So it's a yearly rental, yearly permit, I should say. And so for $75, I think you can set up your food truck on any private property in the community. And I think it's $150 to set up on public property. And there are named locations that we've allowed them to be, but nobody's taken advantage of it in the 3 or 4 years we've had this ordinance.
That's interesting.
Spell, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I just thought the reason for the permit is because City Hall has to do the paperwork on the insurance and make sure you're, you know,
You're not
legal.
gonna
and
Wash
everything.
your hands after you use the bathroom, which some people apparently don't know. how to do.
Yeah, and that, we have to cover that kind of cost. But I'm all for food trucks as long as we can work it out.
Okay, the next discussion on the Heart of Cedar Springs domain.
So Mr. Ringler brought this to my attention just a couple days ago. Apparently, he has reserved these 3 specific domains for the Heart of Cedar Springs Park. You know, speaking on behalf of the city, I don't see the city having any need for any of these. But I thought since the Heart of Cedar Springs Park does do a lot of driving for businesses in the downtown, for the measly cost of whatever it costs to maintain these, there may be some, benefit of owning one of them for the distant future. So I was hoping that Mr. Ringler could talk to you specifically about what the cost is. I think it's like 15 or 20 bucks a year.
I think we should own them all.
So, I mean, that's an entirely legitimate point. I don't know. The city doesn't think it's going to use any of these. We have our own website.
I
But
think number C sounds the best because it actually says Cedar Springs and we're
I
not
agree.
Cedar, Michigan. Cedar, Michigan's up north.
what I'd recommend is that if the DDA is going to kind of expand in the future and have their own director in the future, it might be beneficial for you to have your own website in the future. And so this would be a way of saving for that. And like I said, Mr. Ringler can talk to you more about the costs. So maybe discuss it briefly and then we can come back.
It's like $9 a year or something like that.
We should just do it.
Now, you would have to pay somebody to develop a website too.
I can do that to start.
But as far as the DDA is concerned, I thought it might be a good place to start with having your own information out there.
That, to me, for $9 a year is a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah.
I'll give you $9. I
Mhm.
don't care.
Yep, me too.
Okay, I'll bring it to you at your next meeting where Mr. Ringler will explain it. in greater
Thank
detail.
you.
And then motion to approve the DDA letter in support of the city's sidewalk grant application.
I'll make a motion to approve the DDA letter to support the city sidewalk grant application.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes have it.
Any opposed?
No opposed.
Thank you, because we already sent this in 55 minutes ago.
Okay, correspondence, 2022 calendar.
Mr. Breesinger, we do have an added item E, fence at 70 North.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so the fence that blew down between my building and the building to the south of me. Totally, the windstorm blew it over. I'd like to rebuild it. And I was looking at using hardy plank 4x12-foot sheets or 4x10-foot sheets and putting it on flat, caulking it and basically priming it. And then we could turn that over to a mural artist to put some sort of mural on it.
So I don't know what hardy planks are.
Well, not hardy planks. It's a brand called Hardy Plank and all it is just seamless. It has a little bit of a wood grain, but it's a concrete facade that's probably 3/8 of an inch thick.
So is there something related to the DDA in this agenda item?
Well, a
Potential
mural,
for a future mural, maybe?
future mural. So it's a canvas for a future mural. The sign, the fence doesn't belong to me. It's my neighbor's. He's indicated through third party, I've kind of heard it, it's hearsay that he would be open to us rebuilding it for him because I don't think he wants to do it.
So what it sounds like to me is that you probably need to approach the zoning administrator with a letter in hand from the property owner indicating that he's okay with a wall or a fence of some kind that's being proposed to be put on his property. And then the zoning administrator probably just needs to see a mock-up of what the proposed wall is going to look like.
Okay.
Because my understanding is there are laws related to fences and walls and how tall they can be, and what kind of material they can be made out of, et cetera. So the zoning administrator probably has to figure out what's being proposed and how he can approve it. So maybe the code enforcement officer can put some work into getting an agreement in hand.
Okay, yeah, she sent me an email, so I'll send her one back.
So if you want to at least put together the proposed plan, the city can probably help you walk through that. And then bring it back to this board for future murals.
All right. Okay, correspondence, 2022 calendar.
Just something that Clark's been putting on your agenda so you guys have access to the information.
And then, what do we have? 37 East Cherry, 300-foot letter.
Yeah, the clerk put this on your agenda, and I guess I didn't take a look and see what it was. What's going on at 37?
Multi-unit, they're wanting to make it so it can stay a multi-unit. It's non-conforming. On Elm Street, the one on the corner.
So
That's not Cherry though.
Yeah, I'll say that they got the address wrong then.
Must be.
Okay, well, yeah, so as you guys are probably aware, the city is going through some growing pains of dealing with things that maybe previous city managers did or did not do. And there's a property at 3839 East Elm Street that wants to continue its use as a triplex. So this is within the DDA district, and I think the clerk just wanted you guys to be aware of it.
This is a copy of the letter that was sent out to the people that live on the other properties in that area.
Yep, so the city is obligated by law to send a letter out to everybody who lives within 300 feet of the listed address. And technically, I guess you guys own property within 300 feet of there, because the DDA owns the alleyway that goes next to where the post office is. You might also own the parking lot where the community garden is. So this might just be you guys received the letter, so we put it in your agenda for you. Which makes sense if it's in correspondence.
I haven't seen the letter, so. So then city manager, DDA director's report.
I guess I'll just reiterate what I was saying before. Due to the amount of money you guys are anticipating to get, and the cities looking to hire a potential assistant city manager, it might be wise to have the assistant take over for directorship of the DDA. They'd have more time to work on some of the stuff that you guys do. And hopefully we could use that to kind of move this board forward a little bit quicker than I'm able to. So.
I have a question about Elm Street. I mean, we moved on faster and I was reading some stuff. They have their own parking lot that can sustain that amount of tenants in there, do they?
Yes.
Yes.
So
So
you're
We
asking,
were
you're
approached
asking
'cause-
a planning commission question, but.
Right, well, I mean, as a board that owns the stuff adjoining to this, we should be asking this question,
we
right?
do, that parking lot is part of the property. And there's usually, I want to say there's room for 5 or 6 cars there.
Okay.
So they're usually
It
don't,
hasn't been a problem, has it?
it hasn't
Or
been a
has it?
problem. Like our business is very close to there. We were actually approached and told that that property was for sale because we were always looking at how to
Right.
Wait,
more
is that-
parking
Is
in
that this
around
one
us.
right here?
Yep.
So what I can tell you is that one of the problems we've identified is that for a long time, accessory apartments, which is not what this is, but accessory apartments were not required to have parking on the same property. So now you've got tenants living in apartments above businesses who are taking up on-street parking or municipal parking lots, which is taking it away from your employees and your customers. This does have a double lot that the planning commission anticipates requiring that they combine those two properties so that it always has its own parking. But that's not the issue. The issue is that the law says you can have either single or double multifamily homes in the B2 district. It does not say you're allowed to have triplexes, which this is. But subpart C of that law also indicates that the planning commission can approve of a special land use for, quote, continued residential use. So they're trying to determine whether that would allow this continued use.
I'm not opposed to it. I just was curious if there was enough parking to sustain.
Yeah, and I think they do have a sign posted that that parking is only permitted for their,
I wondered if it was their parking lot when I drove past. And,
Yeah.
I mean, if it is, great, right? That's fabulous. But I know on-street parking, it's an issue. I mean, it really is an
I
issue.
do think they do park a couple cars on street, because in the morning when I come in, there's always cars there and there's no reason where, I don't know where else they would come from. The lot's
Yeah.
always full, but there are 3 or 4 cars parked there all the time. And I know they're not at the workout place yet.
yeah, my employees use those parking spots to pull up. 'cause
Oh,
I
yeah,
asked
so you
them to
guys start
not-
at
yeah.
4 AM, so those
Well,
are
not
probably
at
your
4 AM,
cars.
but I'm just
Or
saying.
I'm there.
Oh, you're at 4 AM.
I just park behind my building though.
But see, they're here like when I come in super early in the morning, but they're usually pulling off and going to work.
Yeah,
So that lot's usually empty during the day.
yeah, my employees are.
I mean, as we continue to grow.
11 at night.
The only trouble I ever had with them is they were stacking all their trash cans up on my property, and then the trash truck was coming into our lot to pick up their garbage in the morning. I was like, guys, you gotta find a different spot for this. So.
Mr. Byer, did you?
I did, I was waiting to the assistant city manager, were you talking about probably a full-time position or maybe I'm going for like an intern position?
So the difficulty is, I mean, you guys probably know this market better than I do, but it is hard to get somebody right now. And to do the kind of work that I do, you almost certainly need a master's degree. And to try to bring in a master's degree student even, and pay them $15 an hour for 30 hours a week,
They don't want
not
it.
gonna want it. So even at the amount of money we're talking about, which is probably $45-ish thousand a year plus benefits, you're looking at $70,000 to bring somebody on board. So yeah, it would probably be a full-time position, and even at that, I think it's gonna be difficult to bring somebody on.
I was thinking of an intern probably would be a lot cheaper if you get, but then you got turnover too. What we don't need as a board to explain everything every 6 months or every year.
Well, and I hate to
I
say,
understand
I
that.
hate to say it, but interns aren't productive employees.
I understand.
Interns are people who need to be babysat.
I understand.
Okay, so now we're down to the manager's report.
Yeah, like I said, I'd like to bring somebody on who can help you guys do more work. So,
Have you advertised yet?
we got a budget for it first. Council has to approve of that.
How about that?
And I've got a meeting 4 minutes ago with my finance director to determine how our budget's shaping up.
I had one thought about with all of our parks now and how busy they are. And I just had a thought about having a parks director.
Which is part of why I need an assistant. If we're
Yes.
gonna have the NKCE in the near future.
Uh,
Like I said, we were originally wanting to bring in a parks attendant,
mhm,
because as you know, the city manager had to appear at every concert in the park last year.
mhm.
To open up the doors and keep the bands happy and do all the other things. I don't have enough time for that in my life, but some teenage kid might. So we might still hire a parks attendant. But for the number of grant applications and other things that we have open as a city, we almost certainly need an assistant city manager as well.
Yeah, and I was concerned once about one of the DPW workers told me that the Morley Park is always got so much trash and crap. They spend an hour picking up trash. And if we had a parks director to make sure that that was done before we had the expensive DPW people come in and work on that with their equipment. And all our parks to keep an eye on them for trash and so forth, the bathrooms. It's a big job. Staging area, that perhaps that might be a good investment along with the DDA.
Just to keep us on agenda, is this part of your trustees' comments?
Yes.
I guess your next time, trustees' comments.
So, trustees' comments. I got it.
I hope Dave's not back next time because it's a lot of work.
Nice comment.
I just see lots of good things happening. One of the things I do want to keep in mind as we move forward is parking. All these new things coming to town and expanding our social options for the parks and everything like that and what we're doing. Keeping parking in mind, I think the DDA is a good potential to buy some land and whatnot and be able to help with that. So
The DDA could buy the building behind me. That'd be really amazing.
Oh,
Turn
yes,
into
it
a
would.
parking lot. That's my trusty
If
comment.
it were for sale.
I thought all of his stuff is for sale.
If it were sale for, not totally crazy price.
I'm good. Thank you for everybody.
We're in 7 minutes already. I'll wait till next time.
All right, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
First,
I'll say aye.
Hi.
See ya.
It's so cold in here.
So for what it's worth with parking, my feelings, if it's not within 2 inches of your front door, there's no parking.
Yeah.
But we've got these new parking spaces that'll be put in. That we allow parallel parking through here, but with the required ADA access, we gotta have that asphalt pad. So